Hey everybody, welcome back. You know who I am. I don't think I need to say that anymore. Everybody who comes here knows who I am. And what's this? What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Ambush Victory Games 1983. Oh, I'm so happy to get this back into my library after all these years. Just because I am the original grognard and have a tendency to go off on tangents and bloviate on things that have usually nothing to do with what I'm recording, there's no reason for me to stop that now. I don't think Victory Games ever really did a bad game. I can't think of really any game from VG that I would consider a bad game. Some of them weren't good games, but I really wouldn't put down any of them as bad games. I mean, granted, most of them came from Strategy and Tactics or SPI, when SPI got bought out by TSR. A lot of that, and that's where Victory Games came from, is most of the designers, developers came over, and Avalon Hill allowed them, or I think they just kind of financed the creation of Victory Games, but that's a discussion for another time. SPI had bad games. Avalon Hill had bad games. We won't talk about the Pasadena Game Club. Weston Games had bad games. GMT's had bad games. 3W. I mean, you go down the list. All game companies have had bad games. Nature of the business. I can't really think of very many bad games that Victory Games ever did. Now, granted, they were some of their rule sets were obtusely, ubiquitously written, more difficult than they needed to be. Yeah, Carrier, I'm looking at you. Tokyo Express, I'm looking at you. But that doesn't necessarily make it a bad game. It just makes it a difficult to understand game. But, anyways, Ambush 1983, probably one of the most well-known titles, I would say, of all time. Maybe not most necessarily the most played, but anybody who is a gamer, especially a solitaire gamer, knows of Ambush. It is the solitaire game. It is designed from the ground up to be a solitaire. Now, granted, there have been other games out there. Hell, SPI did a few. Wolfpack, they did a few others. But for some reason, and granted, a couple years later, Patton's Best came out, and that became known as a real good solitaire game as well. But this, from the ground up, everybody knows Ambush as a solitaire game, and everybody who's played it has nothing but good things to say about it. There are issues with it a little bit, but for the most part, it is such a unique system, you can't help but fall in love with it. Completely and totally. Which I did. I picked up my copy 1987. 88, because I was already after my first command in 88. And the great thing about it, I mean, it's a very small size footprint. I mean, the map is much smaller than your average, 32 by 28 or what have you. So, very small footprint game, not many counters. I mean, you're not going to have more than 20, 25 counters on the board at any one time. Well, maybe 30. So, a very small footprint, very quick and easy to play, really good to play on board ship, where space was always a premium. So I played the hell out of Ambush. I had, was it a Purple Heart or Silver Star? Whichever one was the first expansion. And then when the Marine Battle Hymn came out, I played that. I played that expansion. I never played Open Fire, because by that point, by the time I had gotten to that point, where you'd think a natural progression for me to be moving on to Open Fire was I was living in Japan at the time, and it was just hard to get any games in Japan. There was what was the name of the company we used to use? They used to put out huge, thick-ass catalogs printed on newspaper print. Berkeley Gamers? Yeah, I think that we ordered most of our stuff through there, and I ordered a lot. But it was just one that I never got into because it wasn't too high on my list, and I just didn't have the space to store it on board ship when I was in Japan, because I was doing miniature gaming at that time, and I had Micro Armor, and I was doing Warhammer Epic, and well, it wasn't Epic then. It was Adeptus Titanicus and Space Marine. But yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I played the hell out of it. And it was so good to get it back on the table. And I was so fortunate. I was able to get, one of the modules. I got the move out module over there. Probably going to be moving into that eventually. So anyways, like I said, I've rambled on long enough. Starting to play, my whole intention was to do, 1 or 2, maybe 3 scenarios on my own, just so I could make sure I get the rules down pat, because nobody likes watching me fumble through the rules, as I've done on several occasions in the past, and checking the rule book. So I figured this time I'd be smart and play through it a couple times to get the rules down enough where I could just, kind of flip through the game real quick. And I think I did a pretty good job with it with the first scenario. So went with the stock squad out of the book. I decided I didn't want to roll up. I just didn't want to take the time to roll up my squad points, my weapon points, and then roll up my stats for everybody. It's like, I'll just copy it straight from the book. That's middle of the road. That's fine. Because my dice rolls, I'd ended up with, 7 guys that were initiative 1 and, 1 guy that was initiative 2 or something. Because that's just how my dice rolls go. So went with the crew straight from the book. Gave them all their own names, and no, I didn't name any of them after really people I knew, because I knew they were going to die quite often. So I didn't want to get attached to any of them. And in the first scenario, Bloody St. Mix or whatever it's called, lost horribly. I know why I lost. I split up my groups into 2 groups. And one group had all my high initiative guys. The other group had all my low initiative guys. And so every time they came up with a panic number, they were always panicking. And I had a really hard time rolling perception checks and activation numbers. So, I got a quarter of the way into the map. And, next thing I know, I'm walking right into a German officer with an MP40. And the next thing I know, there's like 5 Germans on the map shooting at me, rather than, had I gotten perception tests and activation checks earlier, I'd only had 1 or 2. But no, I had like 5 Germans on the field at once, and a couple guys with machine pistols, and there was a sniper out there, and it was, and my dice rolls were horrible. But I don't want to blame my dice rolls. Like I said, the biggest problem was keeping my low initiative guys out of the circle of command. So they were panicking left and right, not being able to do anything. And the German snipers just had a field day. Eventually came across 2 snipers. And out of the 5 guys that I had incapacitated, 4 of them were because of those stupid snipers. One of them was even because of a close assault. One of my guys lost a close assault against a sniper. So out of the 5 guys that were incapacitated, 2 died. So I had to re-roll for them. It was B and C. My second in command... there we go. My second in command, and B and D. It was B and D, and my bar gunner. Re-rolled them up. Pretty much, they were the same stats across the board. Although I think when I re-rolled up D, his driving skill was a little bit higher, so it didn't lose too much out of that. And I think I got like 12 experience points for the match for the campaign, and I dumped like all 6 of them into my worst soldier. Or into one of my worst soldiers, so I can give them a higher initiative rating. Because if you spend 6 experience points, or they call them campaign points, but really they're experience points, you can increase one of their stats. And I went for initiative and managed to get his initiative to go up, because he spent 90% of the game with his initiative 1. I'll get into it when we start getting into action rounds. He was just panicking left and right and wasn't able to do anything. Hopefully with initiative 2. I still got one guy with initiative 1, but he's got a couple points. Couple experience points, so hopefully when the campaign continues on, I'll be able to get him some more experience points and get him leveled up. But like I said, the plan was for me to do 2 or 3 scenarios, but I was going through the book, and so it was going to be the 3rd scenario I was going to record. But I looked at the 3rd scenario, and it's a static position as I'm not moving, as the Germans are attacking, and I kind of felt, no, I don't want to do that. I want to be with me, the one out there, advancing when I record this. And I think I kind of remember that scenario. There was a radio, and I think you can use artillery with the radio, and I seem to recall when I played it many, many moons ago, I couldn't hit crap with the artillery and the radio, so I decided, all right, let's just jump into the 2nd scenario. I think I got a good enough handle on the rules. I do want to say, ambush is not a hardcore tactical man-to-man system. It's just not. You have to go into this looking at it that this is you're watching you're playing a Hollywood movie. It really is basically what it is. Very thematic, not very accurate, which is fine. You know, this isn't Sniper. You know, I don't need that level in a quick solitaire. And you don't want a quick solitaire game to be overly difficult. But one of the things I always found kind of funny, and I remember this when I started playing, was just the generic names of the weapons. Pistol, bolt rifle scope, semi-auto, carbine, machine pistol. Something, you know, you could have gone through, you know, Car 98, M1, Thompson, Browning automatic. I mean, now granted, light machine guns, the US 30 caliber and the German MG 34, 42, at this scale, at this difficulty, statistically the same weapon, you know. So, but I always thought that was kind of funny. It was just a very, very generic with their weapons. Again, that's fine. This is a low impact tactical system, and I always got to chuckle out of the campaign because if you go through and do the scenarios are in no chronological order whatsoever. It's like the first scenario is, you know, after the breakout from Cobra, and this one is, I don't even remember when this one is, and the third one is the Bulge, and the fourth one is, oh, now you're paratroopers, oh, and then you're in the lowlands, and so yeah, as for a campaign system, it doesn't really follow historical timeline, and I think by the time they released Purple Heart, and I know they did for Move Out, they just said, fuck it, we're not going to worry about trying to do this in any timeline. This is the situation, just play it, just do your thing, don't worry about historical continuity, like I said, which is fine. Is there anything else I wanted to comment? I usually go into these videos preparing, you know, what I'm going to say, and 80% of the time I remember and mention what I'm going to mention, but there's always that 20%. So, because when I engage the mouth, my brain seems to go off, and I kind of forget what I had planned on doing. Did want to show off some of the cards that I picked up from Board Game Geek that someone had done. And evidently, I understand you could actually order these and have them professionally printed out. It's like, I'm going to just go up to Staples and print them out on cardstock for, you know, $3 or $4 and then cut them myself. But the artwork and the graphics on these things are really great. Whoever did these, and he's probably, and I say this quite a lot, should have gotten the name of whoever actually designed these. These are actually really good, well designed, good graphics on the cards. So I'm really happy with these. A couple historical inaccuracies. I remember one of the sniper cards from the last game was a bolt action sniper rifle when it was actually when the graphic the artwork on it was he was carrying a Gewehr 43, which was a semi-automatic rifle with the scope on it. Again, at the end of the day, doesn't really make that much of a difference at this level of difficulty. Just, you know, something I kind of chuckled and giggled about. So yeah, if you're interested in getting the updated ambush cards, now as far as I know, those are the cards were only designed for whoever designed them only did it for the base system. I have not seen any updated cards for Silver Star, Purple Heart, Move Out, what have you. There are also a couple, I think 16 errors in the cards. Part of me was tempted to go into BGG and go through it, but at the end of the day, I decided not to. Because the chances of me actually coming across it and rolling the right number and it just not working, probably slim to none. But, you know, just to be advised, there is an errata out there for those cards. Again, not something I'm too worried about. So, let's... yeah. Our friend, Deborah, over at Geek Gamers. And if you're not following her channel, you really should get over there and follow her channel because she does wonderful old school playthroughs and overviews and role playing stuff. And she's a grog just like I am. So if you like old groggy type stuff, really should go over and check out Deborah over at Geek Gamers. But anyways, year and a half, 2 years ago, she tried to make a run at doing a playthrough with Ambush. And I understand her frustration. There is a lot of stuff in this game that does kind of make it a little bit difficult to have a smooth flowing gameplay. Pretty much, you know, when I, as the player, am going to have to be going to the mission cartridge view sleeve, quite often, do I show what is, you know, do I show it's like, all right, we moved into M8, all right, there's the paragraph number, and then you go to the paragraph book, you know, and then flip through the paragraph book trying to find the right paragraph. Do I show that on camera or do I just read it? There's going to be a little, sometimes, of dead air. Most of you know I try to have as little dead air as possible. I always try to keep conversation going. Nobody likes to watch a video with dead air, so that's, you know, or at least I don't. I don't know other people, but I don't like watching a video, and that's where I base my opinions off of. Love how that works, right? So we're going to see how it goes. I'm probably really not going to show the mission card and shifting the numbers and pointing, oh, look, right there. That's, you know, it says, although I might, I don't know. I haven't really decided how I'm going to approach this. We're going to see. This is going to be a live and learn, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get the rules kind of down. So if there is dead air, it's because me doing the paragraphs and everything and not me looking up the stupid rules. So yeah. That's that's what the status is. Here I am 15 minutes already into this and I haven't even started gameplay yet. Yes, I know. I ramble. Excuse me. I thought I was mostly over my bronchitis. Maybe I'm not. Or either that or it's just allergies. Alright, so anyways, we're doing mission 2. This is Advance on Chosul. August 1944, which is kind of funny because I think the previous scenario was after August of 1944. Let me see if I can find it real quick. No, June 44. Yeah, and then August of 44. The mission 3 is cold morning in Belgium, so I'm going to guess, you know, around December. And then the 4th mission is D-Day Drop Night into Destiny, June 6th. And then the 6th mission is January of 45. 7th mission is August of 44. It's like, you know, if this is supposed to be a campaign in order, why didn't you have the scenario? I understand because the difficulty, they add more stuff in with each scenario. So it's kind of a programmed instruction. So I get it. Just from a campaign standpoint, it's like, this really isn't working. But whatever. Advance on Chosul, August 1944. Your squad's parent division is racing around France towards the German frontier in the face of crumbling German resistance. While your regiment awaits more fuel, your men are sent ahead to scout out the small town of Chosul. I don't know if Chosul is an actual French town. Maybe, maybe not. I wasn't bothered to look it up. With the Germans retreating faster than you can advance, no opposition is expected. Yeah, how many times when I was in the military did we hear that? And your men should be able to occupy the village until relieved. Yeah, it wouldn't be a really exciting game if there was no opposition, so I'm going to guess there's going to be opposition. Just saying, you know, that's my knee-jerk gut reaction. I have a feeling I'm kind of correct, though. So the game is broken down into two. For those of you who don't know or haven't played it, and I'm sure there are some of you out there, heathens that you are, not playing one of the greatest games in existence. Yeah, I will definitely say this game isn't in my top 5, but it's definitely in my top 10 favorite games of all time, probably. You have two different types of turns. The game isn't based on a set number of turns. You just keep going with rounds until you either win or you lose. Simple as that. Makes record keeping in that regard real easy. You have operational rounds and you have action rounds. Operational rounds is when there are no Germans on the map, and activation rounds are when there are Germans on the map. Again, fairly simple rules to remember. An operation is basically you moving around, checking the paragraph book, checking the mission cartridge to see if you come across anything, come across any sightings, perception checks, you know, just really cool events that could pop up. And then if a German pops up, then you go into activation rounds and the shooting gets hot and heavy. You still check for new paragraphs for each hex you enter. And there's random events that can crop up and a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyways, so what I've got it broken down into, in this scenario, we can enter through A16 through A15. So, you know, we got those 9 hexes we can enter. And the object of the game is to get 25 victory points. We get 1 victory point for every building hex we move through. And we have to end the game with all of our guys in the rail yard. So that building right there. So, you know, there's... I think I counted this out, what? 19 hexes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 19 hexes, so that's 19 victory points right there. If I'm able to occupy them all. Need 25. You get victory points for revealing German units, so I only need to reveal 6 German units and occupy all the buildings. That'll give me the 25 I need. However, you lose 2 victory points for every one of your guys that are incapacitated or killed that you can't get off the map, or in this specific scenario, get into a building, which is what really kind of hurt me in the last one, because I was trying to save victory points and ran a couple of my guys off the map, and then I had a couple more wounded guys, and got to the point where it's like I don't have enough guys on the board to be able to win, so yeah, I ended up losing that one. Yeah, great. Glad I didn't record. Hell, I'll probably lose this one. My humiliating loss will be recorded for all of humanity to see. Or at least the 200 or so of you that's actually going to sit down and watch the video. So, go ahead and broke my guys down. I had a logical way of I was breaking them down. I can't really remember what my reasoning for was. I wanted A and B kind of in the center because they're my commanders and they exert a command and control range, which will help keep my low initiative guys. Panic is unless you get shot at. Panic is dependent on what your initiative is, and when we get into actions, I'll go into that a little bit more. So keep my 2 commanders in the middle so they can exert their command range to the guys on the ends, which are kind of my lower initiative guys, stacked with kind of my middle initiative guys. So, which is what I should have done in the first scenario, but I didn't because I was an idiot and I forgot, you know, the mechanics of the game and how important it was. Actually, when I first played the game, I don't even think I was using the panic rules. I was 20. I mean, come on. I barely played games correctly at the best of times. So, yeah, I don't think I really played with the panic rules originally. It's just like, that's not important. We're going to ignore that. I did that with a lot of games back then. I think we all did. So that's how it's set up. In operations, you move 1 soldier or 1 stack of soldiers at a time. Move them into a new hex, and it's just 1 hex. You don't have to worry about movement points. It's just, this is the operations phase. You move them 1 at a time, and, you know, check the hex. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, who is that? That's Cletus and Eugene. And they're going to go ahead, enter the board, and that is hex A8. So what you do, when you enter a new hex, you pull the handy-dandy mission card out. You have the hex, column, and row. And then you go down to whatever the corresponding box is, and you've got a none. All right, so there's no event there. So that ends that movement. Now, I can continue moving the same stack of guys. I can move 1 guy individually, or I can move another stack. Again, it doesn't matter. You're just moving 1 hex at a time. Like I said, this is the operations phase. Doesn't really matter because you're only moving 1 hex at a time. So D and F, who's that? I think that's Darren and Francis. No, I didn't go with normal names. Where would the fun in that be? So they're going to go into there. And it's a little bit hard to read the hexes. It's just the way the printing of the map was. They didn't have the hex numbers very dark. So we know this is A15 because we can read it. So 14, 13. So A13. Again, since we moved into a new hex. A13. Look in the corresponding box. None! No event. Yay! All right, so again, no Germans on the field yet. Continue with operations. I think this time we're going to take B and H. Buckley and Huckleberry. They're going to move right there, which is 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, A11. I highly doubt I'm going to run into anything in these first few hexes. A11, none. And then, so that means we're going to go ahead and move these guys into here. 7, 8, 9, which is A9. And I'm not going to bother to pull the... And again, none. Pull the mission card up to there. All right, so I got everybody on. And again, we're still in operation, so I can either move one man at a time or move an entire stack. So let's go ahead and move these guys to B12. Now, the plan is, since brush is blocking line of sight and woods are blocking line of sight, I want to try to get up to this line to kind of get an eye, at least on these buildings here, and then kind of work my way up this way and then sweep around. Although conversely, I probably could go this way up over this this little elevated road and then sweep this way. So part of me is actually thinking of breaking the squads up in two different directions, but that didn't go so well last time, so we are not going to do that. So anyways, we moved here, so that's B12. Again, I'm not going to pull the mission cartridge viewer every time. That's a none. And the camera's about to auto turn off, so let me go ahead and pause, and I'll be right back so I get another 25-30 minutes of recording time. And we're back, and you didn't even know I was gone. See, I could have gone and done anything, and y'all wouldn't have never known. I could have gotten something to eat, could have got something to drink. I didn't. Of course, you're going to have to take my word on that. So let's go ahead and move these guys. We got a little ridge back here. Let's go ahead and move them down here because I want to, if anything does pop, I don't think anything will, but if anything does pop up, I don't want these two guys down here by themselves having to worry about that Razorback separating the two squads. So it's B11, or not the two groups. That's B11, none. Let's go ahead and move here. These guys there. That's going to be a B8. B8 is an event. All right, this we will show. Let me see. Have our card at B8. Comes down. It's an event. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means a possibility of an event. Well, Devin, how do you do an event? Take your two 10-sided dice. I will say this game runs off 10-sided dice. Some of the rolls are percentile. Some of them are added together. Some of them are 1d10. But yeah, d10 is the base of what you use. I am going to declare this right now. Black is going to be my initiative for the Germans when it comes to action rounds. Red is going to be my initiative for the U.S. And when I'm rolling for percentile, black will be the 10s column. Red will be the whites column. So 33, 35... 59, what have you. Chances are I might mess that up a couple times because normally when I play and I'm gaming with myself, the closest dice to me is always the 10s. But since we're not doing that, and that will probably confuse some people not knowing that when I play solo by myself, not recording, the closest dice to me is always the 10s column. I am going to just declare now that the black is going to be the 10s, and we're not going to worry about it. All right, so an event. You take your 2d10, roll them together, add them together. Zeros are zeros. They're not 10s, they're zeros. So the dice goes, so for a 10-sided dice, you're looking at 0 through 9. So 0 plus 1 is a 1. I'm scared. That's low numbers and really high numbers tend to be really, really bad things. So what you do is you take the RE column for random event, your 2d10 that you added together, you got a 1, and we have S9 309. Okay, so what does that mean? S9, if you got a number with an S, that means it's a sighting. It's basically the game's way of activating things only once. If I come across another nomenclature that has S9 before it, I ignore it because sightings can only happen once. This is how you activate Germans. This is how you activate special events. So basically, there's going to be 9 special events pretty much in every scenario, or 10, 0 through 10. And as you can see, you even have a place on your sightings chart to mark off the sightings whenever you come across them. There's also conditions, which you switch out the cards, and activations depending on your conditions. And again, we'll get to that as the game progresses, and I'll explain it. So anyways, I already forgot the number. That's probably another thing I'm going to do. I'm probably going to forget paragraph numbers because anybody who's watched my videos know my memory is absolute crap. So it's S9 309. So, and I will grab the paragraph book for this just to kind of give an idea of what we're doing. So we look up paragraph 309, And honestly, like I said, this is going to take the biggest part, is just tracking down where these rules are. So, we got 309. Okay, and a U.S. soldier with the highest PC that can see hex 05 must conduct a PC check. All right, so 05. Where the hell is 05? 05. 05 is way in the middle of the map, I have a feeling. 05. Oh, there we go. 05, right there. Line of sight is relatively simple in this game. Brush and woods block line of sight, so I have nobody that can see that hex. So I don't have to worry about rolling for it. Now, if you remember I mentioned if you have a sighting event, it can only occur once. This is true if the event occurs. In this case, I had a sighting paragraph. However, I did not succeed at the roll. The only time you actually mark off a sighting roll is if the beginning of the paragraph and the events happen. So just because I had a sighting 9 check doesn't mean I can't have any more sighting 9 checks. If the sighting 9 event had occurred, then yeah, once you have a sighting event occur, you can check for it multiple times. It just doesn't you don't stop checking for it when the event actually occurs. All right, so that was the random event. I had nobody that could see it. So again, we continue on into operations. So I'll go ahead and move him into there. Now, also something I should have mentioned, sometimes you have events, that special events that'll pop up. If the event occurs and you put an event chit in the hex, which means you don't ever check for the events in that hex again. Cool thing is, whenever you change the card out as conditions increase or deteriorate, depending on how you're looking at it, you clear the board of all events whenever you switch out a card. And what does that mean by when you switch out a card? Well, right here, this is card 1. As you can see, it's condition 1. And as things start to get hotter, the card will tell you to advance to condition 2 or condition 3, condition 4, condition 5, whatever. Every time you switch out a card and switch out the condition, that's when you remove all the current event markers on the board. All right, so we just go ahead and went ahead and moved those guys. Where are they? 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. So that's B9. What do we got under B9? B9, nothing. All right, continue operations. Now, again, you can have the same guy or the same stack do multiple operations in a row. You don't have to do all of your guys in order like a regular turn sequence. So since I just did A and G for operations and nothing happened, I can do them again. So let's go ahead and move them into C10. So let's see what C10 has to say. Oh, C10, we got something. C10, now there we go with an S2 109. It's a sighting check, paragraph 109, but we don't mark off the sighting unless the event actually occurs, and I'm an idiot and I already forgot what the paragraph number was. See, I warned everybody beforehand. 109. All right, paragraph 109. Let's go ahead and pull this just so people can see. All right, 109. Roll a die. 1 through 8, no effect. Place event marker. 9, soldier may conduct a PC that is a perception check at -1. If successful, see 159. So we rolled the dice. It was a 0. So we rolled it. Wasn't a 9. So we don't make a perception check. But it did say put an event marker down. Like I said, this is what I was talking about with event markers. So anybody who enters that hex from here on out, of course, will get the S2 109, but actually won't have to because an event has already occurred. So there's only one chance of that, of anything happening when you move into that hex. Now, if you switch conditions to condition 2, condition 3, whatever, as soon as you switch conditions, you do have to recheck the mission cartridge for all your soldiers in hexes to see if something new happens, because it could happen that, all right, we're at condition 1, we stumble across, we spot a German sniper, he shoots at us, it tells us to advance it to condition 2, we check our hexes, and all of a sudden we're in a hex of a space that another German was in, but now that we're at condition 2, the Germans are a little bit more aware, and all of a sudden you have a new German pop out, start shooting at you. It happens. You need to be prepared for that. Basically, the conditions are representations of how aware the Germans are and how aggressive they are. More things start to happen in the later conditions because right now the Germans don't know we're coming. Rifle shots start going off, or Germans start raising the alarm. More Germans start to become aware. That's what the conditions increasing in value represent. All right. So, and if I wanted to, again, since we're still in operations, I can move those guys to D10 again. Like I said, it doesn't matter in what order you do you guys in operations. It's just one guy, one stack at a time. Check the paragraph. But we're not going to do that again because I don't want to get my guys too far ahead of myself. So we'll go ahead and move there. That's going to be a C9. C9 is a none. Poo. I didn't think this out too well. All right, well, let's go ahead and put our cheap guys in our lower rated guys, D and F. That's oh, Darren's our bar gunner. Maybe I shouldn't have him running out there, but nah, that's fine. Darren and Francis can walk out front. We'll have the bar gunner up there anyways. That's C12, so we check the C12 on the mission sleeve. And that is a none. Yeah, and if I wanted to, yeah, it doesn't. There is no stacking limit. So let's just go ahead and move those guys, B and H, into C12. We already know C12 is a no event, so no need to check the card. Again, since there's no Germans, we continue with operations. Go ahead and move these guys there. That's going to be D11. D11 is a none. Let's go ahead and move them again into E12. E12. Oop, there's an event. We have another event. So we've got E12 event. Roll 2 dice. We got a 10. Put the random event on 10. All right, now this one has no sighting number, so this is probably just going to be something bad. 161, a repeatable event. Let's put it that way. So let's take a look at 161. 161. Yeah, go ahead and pull this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. 161. S1 and S2 are required. S1 and S2 have not even occurred yet. So since they haven't occurred yet, the conditional go to condition 3. The conditions weren't met. It doesn't happen. And it doesn't say place an event marker. So I don't have to place an event marker. So let's go ahead and move these guys into D11. We know there's a no event there. Let's go ahead and move these guys up to D8 because I don't like... Well, I could move into D9 because brush does block line of sight. So if Germans do show up, you know, over here, the brush is going to block the line of sight. So that's D9. D9 is none. And let's go ahead and move these guys into E9. And E9 is none. Move these guys into D10. D10 is S2 109. All right, so we've had this happen before. But I don't remember what it was. Most of the time, my short-term memory goes right out the window when I'm in a stream of conscious thought. Yep, 109 is the roll 1 dice, kind of like in the last text they moved into. Roll a dice, 0 through 8, no effect, place event marker, or 9, conduct a perception check. So roll the dice, it's an 8, nothing. Place an event marker. Right there. And... okay, so should probably also identify. So we know what the woods are. Woods are the big trees. Those are woods hexes. This is brush, kind of itty bitty trees, like what bushes are. And then you've got what do they call it? They call it cover hex. Not really sure what cover hex is supposed to represent. In my mind, I'm thinking it's tall grass. It's kind of wheat fieldish. It's rocky ground. It provides cover, but doesn't block line of sight. So whatever you want to justify in your mind what that means, because they really don't delineate what cover is exactly supposed to be. So I can either go into the cover or I can go into the bushes, and I think the bushes are probably the best bet because bushes protect you more. Bushes are more bulletproof than cover is. Well, maybe not more bulletproof, but harder to see me. And that would be E8, 9, 10, E10. E10. Oh, there's S2, 109 again. So, we've got a 6. That's nothing. Or it wasn't the 9. So, we get an event marker. I should also mention that the under special scenario rules, the river is actually a stream which can be crossed. So I don't have to worry about just crossing at the bridges. There are scenarios where this is actually identified as a river. You can only cross a river at a bridge. I want to say one of the scenarios, and I think it's on this map, has a Panzer showing up that drives right down over the bridge. I think. I could be misremembering that. Or it could have been from, Purple Heart. Could have been, hell, could have been from another. It could have been from Battle Hymn, where it was a Japanese tank rolling across a bridge. I just seem to recall a German tank rolling across the bridge. All right, so yeah, we're still in operations. We're in the poopy part now. Because, like I said, cover doesn't give us... It's easier to hit someone in cover than it is in brush. Well, let's go ahead and move these guys into... What is that? F8. F8. Ooh, F8. We got a new paragraph. We haven't seen this one before. F8 is S2 112. So this is a sighting 2, which was kind of linked into what the sightings were. Had... For some reason, the S2 event been triggered from me moving in this hexes, and I would have marked off the S2 on my sighting chart, then that would be ignored because the S2 event has already occurred. But the S2 event has not occurred already. So let's go, what is that? F8, 112. I have a feeling I'm going to be forgetting paragraph numbers quite often. So 112, ooh, big one. Okay, F12 or 112. Roll a dice. Okay, we got a 7. Conduct activation check. Conduct activation check at -2. If successful, see 148. All right. Well, what is an activation check? Activation checks are laid out by what condition it is, and by they're laid out by what the scenario says they are. So for this one, condition 1, an activation check is 0 to 1. Condition 2 is 0 to 3. Condition 3 is 0 to 5, 0 to so on and so forth down the row. So we're at condition 1 still, and it's a -2 to the dice roll. Now you would think 1 minus 2 is -1. You can't do that, but the dice roll is a 0 is always a succeed. So even if the number goes under 0 or above 9, 0 is always a succeed, 9 is always a fail. So there is a 1 in 10 chance, 5, nothing. All right. And it didn't say to put an event. I don't think it said to put an event marker down. Back to the paragraph book. 112. Yep, nothing about putting an event marker down. So I was actually hoping to get to Germans by now. Probably spent too much time blathering on at the beginning. Well, let's go ahead and move these guys to F12. F12 is none, and I'll admit it right now, my palms are starting to get a little bit sweaty. I'm starting to get closer and closer to the village. It's like, all right, the bad things are going to happen soon. What's bad's going to happen? I'm getting too close. I really would like to spot the Germans before they spot me. Not happening. All right, we'll advance these guys to E12, which I believe was nothing. Oh, no, E12 was an event. Ah, that's right. We had that one event, but it didn't, it didn't require us to lay down an event marker. So 9 on the random event is going to be a 161 again. Well, at least I think 161 was what we rolled last time. In fact, I'm fairly certain it was what we rolled last time. But since we can't rely on my memory, we're going to actually check the book just to make sure. 161 is where is it? Yeah, that was the one that was if sighting 1 or sighting 2 had occurred, go to condition 3. Has not, so We don't go to condition 3, and we don't play an event marker. Crap. I don't want to walk into the stream. Don't want to walk into the stream, but it'll get me to the brush quicker. All right. You know what? Let's put one guy into the stream instead of both guys. So let's have Gilbert run out there. F10. What do we have in F10? Oh, that's an event. We'll roll it. We got a 10 on the random event. It is 161. All right. Well, S1 and S2 has not occurred yet, so we don't have to worry about it. And we place no event marker. So, that we kind of know that it's safe to move Arthur up there. Again, that would, since I moved in there isn't an event marker in there. We recheck the paragraph in the mission cartridge. We already know it's 161. We know 161 is if S1 and S2 has occurred. Neither have happened. Yada, yada, yada. We don't have to worry about it. All right, well, okay, so then let's go ahead and continue. Let's move these guys into G10. G10 is an S2 112. We've had this one before. And I'm probably cursing, well, I am cursing, that I'm not getting anything activated early. Oh, 2. Okay, 112. 0 to 2. Is conduct an activation check, but this time at +2, rather than the other one we had, which was at -2. And if we remember, oops, well, my counter's all over the place. Conditional is 0 to 1. We add 2 to that, so now it's 0 to 3. And we got a 5, which is no check. I think those are right there. Poopy. That is the one thing with playing with the book over here. I know I'm going to be bouncing stuff all over the place. Where was he at? Crap. Let's just go ahead and put them there. Just to be safe. Yeah, the hazards of having the book so close to the board. So 5, no activation. So nothing happens. We continue on. Those guys are in good position to put lane covering fire down there. Now I kind of have to make a decision. Do I want to snake along here and clear this way, or should I push this way and end up? Because I got to end the game with my guys in here. Not that hard of a thing to do and difficult if all the Germans are dead. So the decision is. Do I push north along the risen road, giving me cover, and then work my way in this way? Yeah. I mean, if I get up here, I'll probably activate some stuff. I could go through the bridges and not go on the elevated. And there's a lot of cover over here. Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I like here because there's a lot of cover for me to get, into that building, up onto this little hill and get into the woods. Whereas this way, if I go this way, if there's anything here, they're going to open up on me and just start blasting away. But he also could have more defenders down here. That's a good question. Kind of give you a good eyesight on that hill a little bit more and how it relates to all the buildings behind it. Decisions. That's what gaming's all about, making decisions. And the decisions are usually more important in a solitaire game. If any of you remember my Patton's Best playthrough, how I would sit and mull over what I was going to do. Because I'm a little bit nervous right now. I don't know where the Germans are. I don't want to make a bad move. You know what? Yeah, let's at least push these guys this way. F12. I think those guys were in F12, and I think these guys were in E12. Yeah, I think that's... Well, let's just go ahead and check F12. Just to make sure, just to keep myself honest. F12 is nothing. All right. Yeah, I think we're going to go... Since it's a stream, I can actually pass through it. If it was a river, I wouldn't be able to pass through it. I would only be able to pass through it on the bridge. So yeah, let's go ahead and get boots wet in G13. Because we love getting our boots wet. Uh-oh. Okay. So, G13. We have an S1, 113. We have this little red number here. Huh. If you have a red number, that's if you have a German that has been ordered to move. You look at what hex they're in, and it'll tell you what hex they move to. Now, I remember the first time I played this, I didn't really grok that too much. So whenever the cards asked me to move a German, I just kind of moved the Germans willy-nilly, you know, how I thought they should move, rather than going with, you know, the programmed way that they were supposed to move. I think I did like 4 or 5 scenarios before I caught on, oh, that's what those red numbers are. Oopsie. So had I been checking for a German movement, in G13, it would be telling me for him to move to H13. However, we've got an S1. S1 is not tripped yet, so we go to paragraph 115. 115. Oh, okay. This is an odd one. If soldier is on a bridge, go to 125. I'm not on the bridge. If soldier is under the bridge, which I am, roll 1 dice, yada, yada, yada. So let's roll a dice. We've got a 4, 4 to 8. Conduct an activation check at -2. If successful, see 155. So we know the condition. The activation is 0 to 1. -2 is going to be 0. 0 is always successful. Nothing. All right. So nothing happened. So yeah, that's it. Nothing happens. The activation check didn't happen. A little bit nervous now. Nervous. All right, let's go ahead and move him there. That's E12. Pretty sure E12 was really nothing. Oh, no, E12 was an event. Now, since there isn't an event marker there, I'll go ahead and do the event again. 6, 7. 161. Again, that's the one where S1 and S2 are in state. Then we go ahead and do something. You know what? We're pushing 50 minutes here, and we haven't got. I was wanting to get to some action. Should I keep playing? Nah, 50 minutes. That's long enough. I'm sure an hour is about all people can tolerate watching me and listening to my voice. So we'll go ahead and cut it right here, and hopefully when we come back, we'll be getting into some actual action. But that's what we got. Ambush, Scenario 2, Advance on Chosul, Original Grognard. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section. I'll see everybody next time. See ya!